Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Matt, and before we jump into today's video, I just want to say thank you guys for the huge support on the last video. For whatever reason, it's been really gaining a lot of traction on my channel, which is great. It's done really well. Didn't really expect it, but yeah, so I guess you guys enjoyed that. But today I wanted to talk about the single player once again. I know I'm just really fucking beating in the single player, but I want to talk about it, as I don't think really anybody has made any videos on the topic. So I've seen a few comments now and a few posts on Reddit talking about the idea of adding new single player campaign stories into Battlefield 1 throughout its life, you know, however long people enjoy Battlefield 1 for, which I think is a really good idea. But is it really likely? Honestly, probably not, depending on how the single player plays out in Battlefield 1, whether people whether people like it or dislike it, like Battlefield 3 and 4's campaign. I don't think that we will really get to see any more war stories added into the game throughout the year, even though it would be a very feasible option for DICE because of the way they are splitting up the single player in Battlefield 1. But for the sake of this video, let's pretend that DICE does want to add more to the experiences of the single player for people who enjoy it more than those who favor multiplayer, because believe it or not, some players out there actually like single player more and just play Battlefield solely for the storyline. For me, I always start with the campaign of any game so I can just get adjusted to the feel of the game, and just because I find I'm missing out on a lot if I just jump straight into the multiplayer straight away. But that aside, let's see what DICE could do with the war stories of World War I. So my biggest want from the single player of Battlefield 1 was to see a German story come into play. I've said this a few times now, you know, after thinking about it for a while, I do agree that it would be a little bit harder trying to balance the storyline when you have two different factions who fight against each other in the story and then taking protagonists from both sides. But in this case, DICE has split it up through different characters, so instead of having one main character, we now have four, assumingly. So adding in another story with a German soldier as the protagonist, it would be a play on those who enjoy playing as the bad guys, even though the Germans weren't necessarily the bad guys in World War I. They're just really looked at in the positive ways when it comes to war, for obvious reasons, and it would be just easier to make them the enemy. I myself don't know many German fueled stories that happen in World War I, but DICE is usually pretty good at creating stories. Even if it doesn't play off the real stories of World War I, it kind of just plays on some aspects of each story and just kind of making it into one story. It would be really cool to see the German perspective of the war, you know, the different uniforms, weapons, vehicles, etc. You know, it would be a nice balance to the campaign where we get to see differences in technology between these factions. Now, this is all easier said than done, obviously. Battlefield 1 is a huge game if we really think about it. You know, creating different vehicles and weapons that are just used for the single player, I don't see DICE doing, simply because their main focus is on the multiplayer, for a good reason, as it's where most of the player base will be. But I think it's important not to forget the single player side of the game. Dedicating a certain few DLC pieces to the single player would be a really nice treat for some players, including myself. The only really thing that we get from single player that we can be, you know, that transfers over into other parts of the game is stuff like dog tags and those multiplayer exclusive weapons that we saw in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 with the co-op missions, which I don't think is a good thing, but you know, dog tags are fucking sweet, dude. Maybe one war story for every DLC would be a cool idea. That's a lot though, I don't ever expect that, but you know, I can hope. Maybe it's just something they'll have to work on in the future for Battlefield games, but for now I think we'll just get the 4 stories the game ships with, and we'll just have to be happy with that. Let me know what stories you think DICE has missed entirely and would like to see added into the game. I know a ton of you out there are big World War I history buffs and would have a ton of stories that you really enjoyed hearing about in school and stuff like that, or you might just take personal interest from World War I. The fact that DICE has seemingly taken the time out to reimagine the way they present their single player is really nice to see, and it's definitely for the better, I think. I'm excited to play it in just a few weeks. But that's all I have for today, guys. I really do my best to try and keep these videos shorter, as I know it's pretty hard to sit through 10 to 15 minutes of someone talking, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Oh, I'm dying. I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers to the channel. I hope you guys have enjoyed what you've seen so far, and there's plenty more to come, hopefully. Let me know if you'd like to see a single player playthrough of Battlefield 1 on my channel. I'm definitely contemplating it, but if I have enough people tell me it's a stupid fucking idea, then I won't do it. But anyways, thanks again for the last fucking time, guys. I'll see you later.
Once upon a time not long ago, when people wore pajamas and lived life slow, where laws were stern and justice stood, and people were behaving like they ought to good, there lived a little boy who